Here we go, one more time. We all know this one. Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down the road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. My decision right here and now. You may be seated.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Lark Zunich, and I'm the coordinator of adult education here at Unity. And the big guy you saw before, that's Reverend Richard Rogers. So we want to welcome also all the newcomers who are with us today. And we're going to ask you to raise your hand, not to embarrass you, just so that we know who you are and can welcome you later. And if you tell us your name, that would be helpful too. So do we have any visitors here with us today? Way in the back. Why don't you tell us your name? Ellie? Is that right? Thank you. Welcome. And then we have another hand over here. Welcome back. Okay, yes? Over here. Thank you for being here. And there was a person behind you. All right, thank you very much for being here. So make sure that we have a chance to greet you. Oh, another one. Okay. You're more than welcome to come. Okay, anyone else I didn't see? All right, great. If you're visiting with us, we have a packet of information, and it's in the foyer. It's right under the screen where they have announcements and things like that, the monitor. So please seek that out, and we would like to welcome you more formally. Now, we have a mission and a vision statement here at Unity of Prescott, and we like to say this out loud to state our intention and to remind ourselves that this is what we're all about. So if you would read this with me. We envision a world joyfully transformed through spiritual awakening. And then our mission is to demonstrate spiritual principles, inspire personal growth, and share love and joy. And we have a couple of announcements. We have, new page. So the Acker Fun Hike is coming up on June 11th at 6 p.m. And also we have the ADOT Green Team's Highway Cleanup. and that's Saturday, June 19th at 7:30 a.m. If you'd like to get up early, they could really use you. You can sign up for either of those, again, in the foyer or in the front of the church. And then we have a special announcement for Father's Day in 2 weeks. Please, everyone, wear your Aloha shirts. Not just the men. Everybody wear your Aloha shirts to celebrate Father's Day. Now, we're going to start a new tradition here at Unity of Prescott to recognize birthdays and anniversaries, and Richard's going to do this for us.
All the June birthday babies, will you stand up so we can sing to you? So if you were born in the month of June, will you stand up? Come on, all the
Please notice
June
that Richard is standing up because his birthday is Monday.
Yes, tomorrow.
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday, you're wonderful. Happy birthday to us. Happy birthday. All right. Now we're going to celebrate all the anniversaries. So if you have an anniversary, not just a wedding anniversary, but if you have any kind of an anniversary, I want you to stand up. And if you notice your spouse is standing, you might want to stand up too. So there you go. All right, all the anniversaries, and we're going to say together, we love you, we bless you, and we celebrate your special day. Together, we love you, we bless you, and we celebrate your special day. Fabulous. All right. And now we're going to lead into our meditation by singing Surely the Presence.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can hear the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to feel the presence of God that is within you and all around you. This is our time to connect to the power within us. For you are not separate from your Creator, but you are the living expression of all that your Creator is. That within you is the infinite Spirit of God. The wisdom, the power, the love, the joy, the infinite presence is all within you. You are one with the One. You are one with all that God is. So take another deep breath. And feel the fullness of God within you. You are God's divine manifestation. You are God's divine expression. And today we connect to the very power that is within us. That we allow the presence of God to move in and through us, to heal, to bless, to transform. That whatever the need, whatever the situation, the power of God in you is the answer. Let it roll. Let it transform every cell of your body. Let it inspire every thought. Let it lift every feeling to the ecstasy of God. You are the One. You are one with the One. You are the One. And we know this for ourselves, and we know it for every man, woman, and child over the planet. That we are all beautiful expressions of the divine, created in God's image and in God's likeness, holy and sacred in every way. You are the one. And the angels have been whispering that in your ear your whole life. You are the one. No matter what you've been told, no matter what you've believed about yourself, you are the special one that God has created. And so now in this time of silence, I invite you to allow the full power of God to be unleashed into every area of your life. Thank you, God, for this day, for this moment, for our spiritual community, for all the blessings that often go unnoticed, for the beauty that is all around us, for the love that enfolds us, for the peace that fills us, for the abundance that provides everything that we need. We say thank you, God. And we dedicate this day to all that you are, in us and all around us. In the name and through the power of the living Christ, we pray. And so it is. Amen.
All my love can't save this world. I'm just one man. With all of the greed that holds us down, I can't understand how we just sit by and let time slip away. I must ask my brothers and my sisters why. You are the light, the love that shines so bright. You are the fire that burns through the darkest night. Don't let the world drag you down. Turn a smile from a frown. Lift your head up to the clouds and see what we all came here to be is free. Free. Oh, free. What's your purpose in this place? Why are you here? And what are you doing with the moments we hold so dear? If you need to walk away, start again. And if you need to leave some things behind and bring them to an end, 'cause you are the light, the love that shines so bright. You are the fire that burns through the darkest night. Don't let the world drag you down. Turn a smile from a frown. Lift your head up to the clouds and see what we all came here to be is free. Free. Once you make up your mind, take it one step at a time. Leave your worries behind and see that you are free. And you are the light, the love that shines so bright. And you are the fire that burns through the darkest night. Don't let the world drag you down. Turn a smile from a frown. Lift your head up to the clouds and see what we all came here to be is free.
All right, thank you.
Fabulous. Dan, fabulous job. He wrote that song? Yeah. Little shout out for Dan. Great song. Thanks for being here. We have Dan coming back. I think it's once a month throughout the whole summer. So we're excited about. We're excited. Okay, so my question for you this morning is, do you enjoy a good summer read? How many of you are summer readers? Right? And what about all you? No, I don't care about that. She said, what about all year long? I don't care. Right? For me, sorry, you know I love you. All right. So for me, during the year when I'm teaching class and speaking, I'm reading a lot, right? I'm looking for new ideas. I'm looking for anything that's inspiring, inspirational, so I can bring it in, so I can keep the well full. But in the summertime, what I do is instead of looking for new things, I go back to my spiritual classics. I go back to those things that have meant a lot to me, and I reread them, and I'm amazed at how much that they just hold over time. And so today, I'm going to begin a 4-week series based on Don Miguel Ruiz's The Four Agreements. How many of you have read this book? It's fabulous. Most of you have read it. It's a fabulous book. If you haven't read it, I'm going to invite you to read it. It is a best-selling book. It really is the source of unlimited power. It talks about what robs us from our joy, what keeps us in like this needless suffering. It invites us into a really rapid transformation of our life. And so there's these 4 agreements that we're going to focus on. And the first one that we're going to focus on this week is called Be Impeccable. Be impeccable with your word. How many of you, your mouth has ever got out ahead of you? Anybody? Right? Like you see the words going out of your mouth and you think, yes, that's really my mouth. And those are my words. And I wonder if she's going to forgive me for those, right? Right? Because sometimes, like it's amazing, isn't it? Right? And sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I really, I said that. But this whole idea of being impeccable with our words requires that at some level that we have an understanding of who we are. Because you can't really be impeccable. You can't be impeccable with yourself. You can't be impeccable in your words or your actions or your thoughts if you're really not sure who you are. Right? Because you need to have something to say, does this word, does this sentence, does this line up with who I am? Am I in integrity with my words? And so before we even get into this chapter, one of the things I want you to really look at is, what are the values that are driving your life? Are you clear about your personal values? Because if you don't know your values, then what do you line up your words with? If you don't know what's important to you, how can you say if you're integrity and living your greatest life? That over and over again, what I want you to see is how important it is that you really know what you value. Because without that, we don't have our barometer. We don't have a map. We don't have a sense of where we're going. So today, before we even talk about being impeccable with our words, I want you to really understand what your core values are. What are the things that are the most important to you? You know, when I was in my 20s, shortly out of college, I took a values test. It was like 120 words. You rated every word from 1 to 5, whether it was true or not true. And then at the end of it, it kind of gave you a way to kind of pick the words that were the most important to you. So when I was in my 20s, I looked at all those words and they seemed reasonable and good. I then took that test again in my 40s. And what really amazed me is from my 20s, and I'm sure you experienced this in your own life, from my 20s to my 40s, how much I had changed. Like that in many ways, there were some core values that were the same through that whole time. But in my 40s, I realized that some of my values in my 20s, like I don't really value that anymore. Like if I told myself the truth in my 20s, one of my core values was to look good. Have you ever had that? Did you go through that phase? Like looking good in the way you dress, the way you act, like it was about paying attention to how people were responding to you. And it was really about living externally. It's about really living your life based on how other people are reacting to you and really look to see if they're giving you the kind of response that you want. And I think most of us in our 20s tend to be much more externally focused. But by the time I get to my 40s, I realized that some of those values weren't really making me happy. That if I lived externally, that sometimes I wasn't willing to make tough choices because I was more focused on how other people were responding to those choices than how it felt to be me. And in my 40s, I began to reorganize my values. As I moved through that decade, I realized that there were really 3 values for me, that if I wanted to be in integrity with myself, if I wanted to live my life the way that was really honoring who I am, because sometimes you just don't look. Has everybody had that experience where the choice in front of you just didn't allow you to look good? Like that some people were going to react to it and question it or not understand it or not like it or not think even you were living your values if you made that choice. But you just knew in your heart of heart that you just had to make that choice, that was literally the only choice you could make and still live within your own skin, right? And as I began to look at this, I realized that for the rest of my life and these values, even though, my 40s were a few years ago, those values still ring true for me. And the 3 values that guide my life is that I want to be happy, I want to be free, and I want to be wildly in love. And over again, those are the 3 things that I come back to over and over as the guiding principle of my life, is I want to be happy. And that's my most important one, that I want to be happy. And I realized that happiness wasn't an external thing, that happiness was an internal thing. And it wasn't about adding more, it was about actually letting go. It was letting go of the thoughts or the judgment or the condemnation or the unforgiveness. It was about letting go. And in the process of letting go, I was just naturally happy. And it was about being free. It was about free to be the best version of me, about free to be as kooky and as silly and as insightful sometimes as I can be, right? And it was about allowing myself to be fully in love, wildly in love. With my partner, with myself, with my kids, with my world, with my job. It's about being wildly in love. And I just keep coming back to those 3 things. And I have a series of questions that I invite you to look at in your own life to see if they apply, to see if they can kind of help you in really looking at your values again. And the first one is, who do you admire? What is it about them that inspires you? What is admirable about their qualities they possess? What is the behavior, the actions that you want to emulate? That the first thing, I think, when you look at your world, who do you admire? The second question is, what inspires you to take action? What feelings motivate you to speak up, to act, to make a difference? What are you willing to risk? And in what situations are you willing to risk? And what are the results of taking actions? What were the gains? What were the losses? So the second question, what inspires you to take actions? And the third one is, when do you feel most like yourself? Who are you with? What are the feelings that trigger that? What are the experiences, both emotionally and physically, that make you feel most like yourself? And here are a few core values that you might look at to see if they apply to your life. Family, freedom, security, loyalty, intelligence, connection, creativity, humanity, success, respect, diversity, generosity, integrity, love, openness, kindness. Now this is like 20 out of, if you Google core values, they'll give you a list of about 140, 150. And you can kind of go through them and see which are the ones that are most important to you. And it really, if you haven't done that in a while, or maybe if you haven't ever done it, I invite you to go back and take that test or look at those lists and see if you had to pick 3 or 4 or 5 that are the most important values, the ones that are really the guiding principle of your life. Which are the ones that are the most important, so that you really get an opportunity to honor and acknowledge you. Because God created you the way God created you. And the way you are is important. And the way you are is just the way you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be anybody else. You're supposed to be your version of you. And as you live you in the best way you know how, the whole world gets blessed. Because most of us have tried to be somebody else. And it doesn't work out so well. Because there already is a version of them out in the world. We need to know who you are. So let's get to Don Miguel. The first agreement is the most important one, and also the most difficult one to honor. It is so important that this first agreement, that you'll be able to transcend any level of existence, and I call it heaven on earth. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. It sounds simple, but it's very, very powerful. With your word is the power that you have to create. Your word is the gift that comes directly from God. The Gospel of John in the Bible, speaking of the creation of the universe, says, "In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." Through the Word, you express your creative power. It is through the Word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intention manifests through the Word. What you dream, what you feel, what you really are, will all be manifest through the Word. The Word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The Word is a force. It is a power that you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby create the events of your life. You speak. The Word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is a tool of magic, but like a sword, it has 2 edges. Your word can create the most beautiful, powerful dream, or your word can destroy everything around you. Have you all had that experience where your word has lifted you higher than you thought you could ever be? Or through your words that you've actually created chaos and pain and destruction. And that's the power of our word, right? With our word, we can create havoc, pain, suffering. We can diminish people. We can diminish ourselves. We can hurt people with a scar that lasts for so long. Or we can lift people higher and invite them to be more than they ever thought they could be. And that's your word. Because your word is actually the activity of God expressing through you, through your word, through the words you speak. You're actually creating and manifesting your greatest desires and your greatest intent. And we can spend so much time taking ourselves out with our words that we never get to the good stuff. That we never get to the things that we love and enjoy about life because we're so busy cleaning up messes. We're so busy going from one drama moment to another drama moment, and we never get about the most important thing. So your word has the ability to move mountains in your life. That's what Jesus said. Jesus said, You will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will be done. I want you to really think about that. What if that was literally true? That every mountain, every obstacle, every challenge, every problem could be removed from your life from the power of your word. You will say to this situation, you will say to this condition, you will say to this moment, you will say to this pain, you will say to this wound, move from here to there, and it will be done. Jesus also went on to say, let your answer be yes, yes, or no, no, because anything else makes God crazy. It's a bit of a paraphrase, right? But really, I think that's the gist of what he was saying. When your answer is yes and then no, or yes and then no, what we create is just confusion. The universe has no idea what we want. Like, we keep changing our mind. We keep using our words first to degrade ourselves or embarrass ourselves or limit ourselves. And then we want to affirm our affirmations. And it's like, well, what do you want? Are you willing to stand in the glory of God, or do you want to play small? Do you want to live the fullness of God's promises to you? Or do you want to just create more havoc and mess and mayhem all around you? Jesus also said, in Matthew 12, 36, 37, he says, I tell you, on the day of judgment, right? Now, many of us come from a Christian background where Judgment Day was a scary thing, right? Judgment Day is the day you stand before God, you rendered everything you've done, and some of us are going to make the cut. Some of us aren't. Good luck. God bless you. Right? And in Unity, we understand the Judgment Day a little bit differently. We see every day as the Judgment Day. We see every day as the day where all that you have thought, all that you have spoken is manifest, so you can clearly see in this moment everything that you've thought, everything that you've spoken, that this day is the ramification of everything that's gone on before you. And if you want to make a change in your life, then today is the day to move that forward. So this is the words of Jesus again. I tell you, on the day of judgment, men will be rendered account for every careless word they utter. For by your words you will be justified, or by your words you will be condemned. That's just a spiritual truth, right? It's not even about heaven and hell, other than how it applies to your life right now. If you're living in hell right now, if you're living in a life that's too small for you, if you're not loving your life, what Jesus is saying, this is the ramification of the words that you are speaking. Speak new words. Speak words that align with your highest value. Speak words that align with a possibility that you want to step into. Speak the words that glorify you, glorify God, and glorify the people around you. Went on to say this, Matthew 15:11. Not by what goes in your mouth defiles a man, but by what comes out of it defiles a man. Right? And it wasn't about making sure that you eat your vegan diet just right. Right? Not that there's anything wrong with your vegan diet, right? But that's not it. What's it is what comes out of your mouth. You don't get purified by what you put in your mouth. You get purified by what comes out of your mouth. Now, please don't email me about, all right? I'm all for vegan diets, please, right? Trust me, all right? Now that I've got myself in a hole, let's get out. Because by your words you are condemned, or by your words you are glorified. The human mind is like a fertile ground where seeds are continually being planted. The seeds are opinions, ideas, concepts. You plant a seed, a thought, and it grows. The word is like a seed. The human mind is fertile. The only problem is that all too often it is fertile with seeds of fear. Every human mind is fertile, but only those kinds of seeds that are planted actually grow. What's important is to see is which kind of seeds are you planting in your fertile mind. So here's where we're going today. I want you to know who you are. I do. I want you to have decided, are you a spiritual being? Do you have unlimited capacity? Are you here for love, wisdom, and abundance? I want you to decide who you are. Because really that has to be the first step. You can't be impeccable with your words if you don't know who you are, if you don't know how your words are supposed to line up. But once you decide who you are, once you decide what your values are, once you decide what you desire and want to create in your life, the moment you decide, now your words have power to express that, to create that, to manifest that, to bring that into existence. That every time we take responsibility for every word that comes out of our mouth, we're actually creating and manifesting the kingdom of heaven that is all around us. Because it doesn't matter if it was promised to us from the beginning. It doesn't matter that Jesus taught about the kingdom of heaven and said it was here and now. None of that matters if we're not actually manifesting it in our own life. If our life is not outpicturing the joy, the peace, the love, the abundance that God is, that not only is enough to know the spiritual potential, but your word demonstrates that you've mastered your mind. Do you see that? When your words are all over the place, I believe your thoughts are all over the place. And if your thoughts are all over the place and your words are all over the place, guess what else is going to be all over the place? Your actions, right? It is not until we get really clear about who we are, our values, we align with those values, and then we speak those values into existence that everything in our life begins to change. From chapter 31. Now let's see what the word impeccable means. Impeccable means without sin. Impeccable comes from the Latin impectus, which means sin. That I am, the impeccable means without. So impeccable means without sin. Religions talk about sin and sinners, but let's understand what it really means. A sin is anything you do which goes against yourself. Anything you feel or believe or say that goes against yourself is a sin. You go against yourself when you judge or blame yourself for anything. Being without sin is exactly the opposite. Being impeccable is not about going against yourself. When you're impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you don't judge or blame yourself for them. All right? So here's what he's saying, at least in my understanding. What he's saying is you're going to make mistakes, right? Making a mistake and then being responsible for it, the whole situation is over. If you do something and then you take responsibility and said, I do that, how do I clean that up? Now that situation is over. But when you hold on to judgment and blame, and you carry that judgment and blame for years and years and years, that situation isn't over. It's still 100% alive within you. And when we use our words and we're expressing what we want, when we're expressing the highest and the best that is within us, we are impeccable with our words. So you ready for your homework? This is where we're going this week. I want you to start with you. I always want you to start with you. Because you can't create anything in your life if you're not consciously aware of you. So what do you want? What's important to you? What are your values? Right? It's not just going through the motions. It's really understanding yourself first. So the first thing it is, I want you to come up with a list of 3 to 5 of your core values. What are the things that are the most important to you? You get to decide. Nobody gets to decide that for you. You get to decide. And then I want you to begin to look at, do your words line up with your values? Are you careless with your words? Or do you create conflict and confusion with your words? Are you clear about what you really want? Are you clear about your desires? That today I'm going to invite you to spend 1 week, and you can go longer than this week, but at least 1 week being impeccable with your words. Now, you may find out that some of your words are coming out kind of sideways. Like, have you ever said, my back is killing me? Or why doesn't my life work? Or why don't I ever get a break? Right? If we're using words that are coming out sideways, it's no wonder our life is confusing. That 1 minute we're doing our affirmations, God is my source and all things are possible. God is my source and all things are possible. Jerk, why'd you cut me off? Right? And we wonder why that creates a level of conflict or confusion in our life because we're not being consistently clear. Let your answer be yes, yes, or no, no. Go for what you want or live in the state of confusion where you never really get it. You will say to the mountain, move from here to there, and it will be done. Will you pray with me? I invite you to open your mind, your heart, your soul to the activity of God that is right here, right now. That we give thanks for the one, that we are one with the one. And we allow every word we speak to be creating the best version of our life, to creating the kingdom of heaven here and now, a life where we are blessed in greater and greater ways. Let every word I speak be impeccable, be consistent, be powerful, be godly. Let the words I speak be true and rich and abundant. Let the words I speak be kind and gracious and uplifting. Let every word honor the glory of God within me. In the name and through the power of the living Christ, we give thanks, and so it is. Amen. God bless you all. Have a great week. Thanks for being here today.
This is the time in our service when we have the opportunity to dedicate our tithes and our offerings. So we thank the people who are giving automatically or online or all those different ways. But we want to say to those of you who are giving physically today, there will be a basket in the back of the church. At the end of the service, you can just drop it right in. However, when we dedicate our offering, what we're really doing is thinking about everything we're offering, all the things that we are. All the power that we have, all the information that we have, the way that we give to our church, our community, and the ways that we're changing the world. So I want you to gather up in your heart or your mind all those things that you're dedicating as an offering and hold it together as we say our offertory dedication. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And together our perfect protection, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yea, God. God bless you all. Have a great week.